Microsoft's purchase of ZeniMax Media for $7.5 billion has our minds reeling. Even though Master Chief and Doomguy can kiss now, it's canon. As we've seen in the past, big acquisitions can result in layoffs, studio closures, or at least changes in culture and direction over time. That's just kind of the way it is with big companies. You don't know. Change is a constant with big corporations like this, and if the bottom line isn't met, Microsoft will eventually move around some furniture in order to keep making money. But before we truly begin asking what Microsoft's purchase of ZeniMax means for PC gamers, let's just calm down and orient ourselves and steady our minds by looking back at how some of the biggest studio acquisitions worked out. So in 1997, EA buys MAXIS for $125 million. Before the purchase, the SimCity series and its sequels are commercial and critical successes, but MAXIS is unable to find another major hit. Heavy financial losses forced MAXIS to seek acquisition. After the purchase, though, The Sims is a massive success and MAXIS continues work on expansions and sequels. Spore spends a long time in development and players find it underwhelming when it finally releases. Will Wright leaves MAXIS shortly after. Darkspore is released for some reason. Work as ever continues on The Sims. A new SimCity finally arrives but is plagued with server issues at launch and sales are disappointing. As a result, EA closes the MAXIS Emeryville studio and assigns the team to work alongside EA Mobile. MAXIS continues work on The Sims 4 and its expansions today. So in 1998, EA buys Westwood Studios for $123 million. And before the purchase, Westwood releases some classic PC games like The Legend of Kyrandia and Dune 2, but really hit it big with the Command & Conquer series. Blade Runner becomes a cult classic. Westwood also made that bonkers difficult Lion King game for the Genesis. Damn, the more you know. After the purchase, Westwood puts out some more beloved Command & Conquer games, but the sales teeter out with Renegade and failed MMO Earth and Beyond. EA dissolves Westwood Studios shortly after. So in 2001, Microsoft buys Ensemble Studios for a mystery number, and before the purchase, Ensemble picks up early momentum developing the highly successful Age of Empires RTS series. A sequel and expansions do well for the company, netting it a deal to create a Star Wars RTS with Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, released the year of Ensemble's acquisition by Microsoft. It is not as widely loved as Age of Empires, but sells pretty well. After the purchase, Age of Mythology releases a critical and commercial hit, its expansion The Titans following suit. Age of Empires 3 is another big RTS success. 2 expansions follow in the War Chiefs and the Asian Dynasties. Ensemble is tasked with making an Xbox exclusive RTS in the Halo universe. Microsoft announces Ensemble will close after the release of Halo Wars, and Halo Wars releases to generally favorable reviews and sells well. Ensemble is permanently shuttered. Also in 2001, Activision buys Treyarch for $20 million. Before the purchase, Treyarch develops a few hockey and baseball games published by EA. Treyarch also releases Die by the Sword, a well-received action game in which the player could independently control the character's sword arm using the mouse. It fails to find an audience though, bummer. After the purchase, Activision assigns Treyarch to licensed games, including Spider-Man based on the 2002 film, Minority Report Everybody Runs, and Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer. Eventually, Treyarch dips a toe into Call of Duty with the console exclusives Big Red One and Call of Duty 3. A few more Spider-Man games and a 007 Quantum of Solace quickie stand between Treyarch and the rest of its Call of Duty cuffed life. With Call of Duty World at War, Treyarch truly begins plugging away at the series, and largely with great success. The Secret Zombies mode from World at War becomes a series staple, and the Black Ops series soon earns as much recognition as Infinity Ward's Modern Warfare. Treyarch is writing out Call of Duty with Black Ops Cold War en route next. In 2002, Microsoft buys Rare for $375 million. Before the purchase, Rare finds early footing developing licensed games for the NES. In partnership with Nintendo, Rare releases Donkey Kong Country to great success. Rare makes multiple sequels and Game Boy spin-offs. The Nintendo love continues with the Killer Instinct series, Blast Corps, and a classic Nintendo 64 shooter GoldenEye 007. Perfect Dark emerges from the development of another 007 game. Banjo-Kazooie is another winner, spawning an even more critically and commercially successful sequel. And despite Rare's consistent track record with the company and growing stable of recognizable mascots, Nintendo does not outright purchase the studio. So after the Microsoft purchase, Rare struggles to find the same success it did with Nintendo, with Xbox releasing handheld Banjo games and original 3D games for Xbox like Grab by the Ghoulies to little fanfare. Xbox 360 launch titles like Perfect Dark Zero and Cameo Elements of Power perform well enough but don't kick off a new era of acclaim for Rare. Rare begins working on games and features tied closer to the Xbox platform like Xbox Avatars, Project Spark, and Kinect Sports. Sea of Thieves is Rare's first big original game in a while, and it eventually finds an audience on PC. Rare is still updating Sea of Thieves today while working on Everwild, a new action-adventure game. Then in 2004, Warner Bros. Buys Monolith Productions. The price was not disclosed. Before the purchase though, Monolith experiments with genre and style, but finds a winner with a first-person shooter called Blood. Multiple expansions and a sequel follow shortly, including Shogo, Mobile Armor Division, a mecha anime-inspired FPS that looks like a retro demake of Titanfall. FPS games become Monolith's specialty, with The Operative, No One Lives Forever, and Alien vs Predator 2 releasing to critical acclaim. No One Lives Forever sells well enough to spawn a strong sequel with No One Lives Forever 2, A Spy in Harm's Way. Tron 2.0 continues the good FPS streak. Monolith begins development on The Matrix Online in collaboration with Warner Bros. After the purchase, The Matrix Online gets a mixed reception. Warner Bros. Sells the rights to Sony Online Entertainment. Fear is yet another highly successful FPS for Monolith, critics citing the stylish slow motion ability, impressive destruction, and clever enemy AI. Condemned and its sequel are generally well regarded on Xbox, with the former receiving a pretty shitty PC port. Sales aren't astronomical and the series is left behind. Fear 2 releases to middling reviews and big sales. Gotham City Imposters is released, a free-to-play competitive FPS in the Batman universe that fails to find an audience. Monolith follows up with the highly successful Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and its sequel, Shadow of War, shortly after. In 2006, Microsoft buys Lionhead Studios for an unknown price. Before the purchase, Black and White is Lionhead's first game, a critical and commercial success. Development begins on 6 projects, Fable chief among them. It becomes Lionhead's biggest hit yet. Black and White 2 and the movies released in the following years but do not sell well, putting strain on Lionhead's financial resources. After the purchase, Fable 2 is released selling and reviewing well. Fable 3 is developed in 18 months. Fails do not meet expectations and critics find it lacking. Lionhead works on a few Kinect projects, including the cancelled Milo and Kate, the scraps of which become Fable The Journey. Studio head Peter Molyneux and several veteran Lionhead staff resign on the same day. Development begins on Fable Legends, Lionhead's first attempt at a live game. The project is cancelled and Lionhead is permanently closed. EA buys BioWare in 2007 for $775 million. But before the purchase, BioWare builds a rock-steady reputation as one of the best RPG developers in the world across a breadth of genres and design, with games like Baldur's Gate and its sequel, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and the original Mass Effect. After purchase, BioWare's founders depart. The Dragon Age series retains BioWare's well-written characters but loses the depth and imagination of previous games. The Mass Effect trilogy wraps up with a well-received middle chapter and a particularly controversial ending. BioWare buries some stories in the MMO Star Wars The Old Republic. Mass Effect Andromeda is largely considered a regressive follow-up to the original trilogy, though some find it pretty decent. Anthem continues the trend, and BioWare's first live game drops the usual RPG framework for mech action, but critics find the loot loop empty and the world and narrative even more so. Afterwards, BioWare confirms Dragon Age 4. In 2011, EA buys POPCAP Games for $750 million. Before the purchase, POPCAP puts out some of the most elegant, simple, joyous, casual games of all time for PC, console, and mobile platforms. Bejeweled, Peggle Knights, and Plants vs. Zombies are standouts, released with no microtransactions or free-to-play schemes on PC. After the purchase, Plants vs. Zombies 2, It's About Time, is restricted to mobile platforms and features oppressive free-to-play design. Peggle 2 does not release on PC. Mobile game Peggle Blast also introduces invasive microtransactions, and like Plants vs. Zombies 2, the critical reception nosedives as a result. Plants vs. Zombies lives on as a cooperative and competitive third-person shooter in the Garden Warfare series on PC, a series generally well regarded despite the major departure in design from the overriding simplicity of POPCAP's early games. In 2013, SEGA buys Relic Entertainment for $23 million. Before purchase, under early parent company THQ, Relic releases a near constant stream of some of the most well-regarded RTS games ever made, including the Homeworld series, Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War, and its expansions, Dawn of War 2 and Company of Heroes. THQ goes bankrupt and sells Relic to SEGA. Homeworld is sold off in a separate auction to Gearbox. After purchase, though, the streak is broken when Company of Two Heroes releases to diminished acclaim, critics citing wonky AI and a poorly paced campaign. Dawn of War 3 is a decent RTS with a forgettable story. Relic is now developing Age of Empires 4. In 2014, Microsoft purchases Mojang for $2.5 billion. Before the purchase, Minecraft is already the biggest game in the world, though Mojang's smaller size makes keeping up with the expansion to as many platforms as possible while continually updating the game a big challenge. Even so, Minecraft stays a healthy leviathan. After the purchase, there's some early worry that Microsoft will eventually make Minecraft a PC and Xbox exclusive, but Minecraft is still supported on mobile devices, the PS4 and Nintendo Switch. Even the original Java edition is still supported, a big win for modders. Microsoft pairs internal studios with Mojang to develop spin-offs like Minecraft Dungeons, the mobile Minecraft Earth, and an experimental HoloLens version of Minecraft. In 2017, EA buys Respawn Entertainment for $350 million. Before the purchase, published by EA, both Titanfall games are critically acclaimed but struggle commercially. And after the purchase, built on the back of Titanfall's fiction and shooting design, Apex Legends finds a big audience, even at the height of the Battle Royale gold rush. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is a commercial and critical success. A sequel is put into development almost immediately. New seasons hit Apex Legends every few months while it appears to retain a healthy player base. A new Vancouver-based studio is established for ongoing development and support for Apex Legends. Respawn continues work on Medal of Honor Above and Beyond for Oculus and Steam VR. So what does the future hold for Microsoft and Bethesda? Well, no clue. Stumped. Done for. Roasted. Toasted. Breaded. Buttered. I'm done. I got nothing. But hopefully after sifting through some broad history for context and refreshing our minds, we can actually properly process the fact that Microsoft now owns Fallout, Wasteland, Halo, Doom, Psychonauts, The Elder Scrolls, Dishonored, Minecraft, Hellblade, Fable, Banjo-Kazooie, Gears of War, Forza, Age of Empires, and more. And most importantly, they can all kiss now.